All right, you guys, this interview, so long overdue. It's ridiculous. We were going to try and do it in Los Angeles in person, but things change. But I'm so excited that Amy Yakima is here joining me. Hi, Amy.
Woo! Hi, guys.
All right, Amy, where are you located right now? Are you in New York City?
I'm in New York City. Yeah, this has been my home base for like maybe 3 years now, I think. Yeah, so I
here. Do you stay there during the whole like crazy pandemic?
Yes. So which has been kind of weird and like crazy. I'm a very like lone soul in general. Like I recuperate very much by myself. So this has been a lot of like, and my mom got me the Facebook portal, so we've been portaling. So we've been like seeing each other through that, but and people and FaceTiming that way. But I've really just been by myself in my 1-bedroom apartment in New York City, which is scary because it's the epicenter of everything.
Absolutely. And, most of my friends that were living in New York City left. I noticed a lot of them who kind of went home to their parents just to kind of avoid it. Did you consider that at all? Or did you think, let me just wait it out, I'm okay?
I think I just didn't know what was happening. Like, I think, cause I actually was home at the like very beginning of March, cause I was choreographing and doing teaching and stuff like that. And then, I flew back like right as this was kind of starting. And then I was like, I didn't know if I could go back. And it was just such a weird, we were just trying to figure out what was happening. First it was 2 weeks and then it became this month. And New York, my home is Michigan. So it's such like a weird, there's no train. It's like you have to get on that 2-hour flight. So I was like, my mom was like, maybe we should come pick you up. But also my dad is, he is an ER physician. So he is working like at the front lines right now too. So I was like, well, it doesn't really matter. Like, I was like, I would be around it either way. So I was like, well, I might as well get all my things done.
All the stuff we haven't done.
Yeah. And I just have a new apartment. So I've been like trying to figure out what my design is and like organizing. So I was kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'll do life stuff for a second.
There's nothing wrong with that, honestly. I've cleaned out like my kitchen like every day. I'm like, okay, today is like the pencil drawer. Tomorrow is, but I've gotten a lot done. It looks a lot better.
I know it, but it takes time. And like when you're an artist, you have to be constantly moving. And so this was a time that we could all kind of just sit and be like, okay, what do I need to do? Because I always feel like as an artist, like I'm just, there's always something happening. So I always feel like the water's here and I'm just like this all the time. So I'm always trying to just stay afloat. And for a second, I had a second to breathe and be like, okay, what kind of details do I want to work on? Like I've always just had it in the back pocket in my notes on my iPhone saying, need to do this. But
that's never do this. Let's start checking it off for once.
Yeah. So it's such a weird, but sometimes honestly, you just need to lay horizontal and play video games, and that's okay too. Like
I've had plenty of those days, and it's funny. And I also find like sleeping is a weird thing. There's some weeks I sleep really great. I'm kind of in a week right now where it's like 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm up. And I don't know why I'm up. I don't know what I'm up for. Like, but I feel like maybe it's a little anxiety or something of like, because we're sort of opening up in LA this week, and I'm like, what's going to happen? And we all have projects that are kind of in limbo right now. And
I think we're in that limbo state and no one really knows how to proceed. And it's kind of like monkey see, monkey do. Like we don't know how to start because this is the first of our, like in this age, we just don't even know how to proceed to do this safely and continue our industry safely. And we just, I think we're kind of like toe tapping into like how we have all these projects on hold. That's like, how can we make all these work and continue our industry so it doesn't stop? Because like there's going to be so many people that are going to be so upset that their TV shows aren't being aired next year because nothing's being filmed. So it's like the arts is like what I think people forget about because they're like, oh, we don't need it. Like that's not. And I was like, no, but like there's so many people that depend on all these TV shows that their stories. It keeps us going around. It keeps our minds going around. Yeah. And I'm like, people are like, oh, it's just the arts. And I was like, oh, well, how many Broadway shows did you go to last year? Oh, did you? Okay. So did that better your soul? It did. And I think people are forgetting that like mental health is important and the arts are important.
Yeah. And I've seen like,
so it's just figuring out. No, keep it.
But we're like, oh, but you know, I've seen on social media, like people tweeting out like Hollywood's not important. I'm like, but you're home every night watching Netflix. It is important. It's not the front lines like what your dad is doing and saving lives and working around the clock.
Right.
However, at the same time, it is a part of our mental health. It's a wonderful escape to a very difficult time. So
it tells stories, and stories are it's helping us remember that history, we can't repeat itself. So it's like we need to tell these stories because these voices need to be heard. And I think those TV shows are important. Yes, you're watching those, but also then that's bringing together your families. Because what do you do with your friends? You go, did you see that new show? Wait, what happened on Westworld? Oh, wait, did you? That's what keeps us together. And I think that is a mechanism, and we can't lose that.
It's a coping mechanism that we need, you know?
Yes.
It's one of those.
Yeah. Completely. So I don't know how this is going to happen. I'm hoping the heat is going to affect something, and that I know that they're trying different things, but I'm hoping that we can also keep our art form going. And we can change it a little bit and keep it safe, because I mean, it's so important. It's important to a lot of people. And I think we have to figure out how to keep it going virtually and safely. And maybe masks are going to be a new fashion statement. I don't know.
Mine is right here because our parents are coming over.
I was like, mine are hanging up like on my command strip. So I
have cute ones too, but we've got the plumber coming over. Our garbage disposal decided to back up. So I'm like, just in case he comes over after this, I'm ready.
Completely.
Yeah, so funny. Well, let's talk a little bit, because it's so exciting for you. I talked with Melanie Moore about when she passed the role of Finding Neverland onto you. I think that must have been such a big moment. I would love to know like how it all came about for you. Me and Michael.
Quite a story.
It's a good story. We want it.
It's a really good story, actually. So I think I was on tour with Lindsey Stirling at this time.
Oh my God, we love her.
Yes. Oh my God. I mean, she is just the most.
I loved her on Dance with the Stars.
Most talented person. Yeah. I mean, she can dance, but if just watching her play, I remember being at some huge theater and just sitting next to her, like at sound check, and watching her just like literally fiddle around with it. And just to even, I don't know, I was watching her so closely that you could see like the dust, like off her violin go. That's how fast she was going. And I was just like, you are so good. And then now you're doing fouettes while you're doing that? Okay, cool.
And she's so tiny and she's so powerful at the same time. That's what I love about her.
Yeah. So I was on, and like, I mean, it's just full circle. When stuff is meant to be, I just really all clicks into place like puzzle pieces in my life. And so I was on tour with her, and we had a week break before we came back from overseas. And so I was in LA, because this is the time I was living in LA. And I was teaching a bunch, and I had a show with Shaping Sound. I did that. Like I was like working my butt off.
That's a big week.
Yeah, it was and also like I was coming from like overseas time. So my jet lag was like full throttle.
That 8 hours is brutal. Sometimes it's 9.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I literally remember being in Shaping Sound rehearsal and getting a text from my agent going, do you sing? And I was like, well, I haven't since high school. Like I was like in my choir group. I was like, that's the last time I was like, I can carry a tune. I just haven't practiced. Mm-hmm. And she was like, well, like keep this on the down low. Melanie Moore is leaving Finding Neverland. And I was like, okay. So like, that was just like a little, like something's going to happen, a little trinkle.
I love it.
I got that, and then they wanted me to just film myself singing and send it. So I was going to do that. And then they're like, just kidding. Can you fly here and come audition? And I was like, okay, I have like a couple days. Of course, they email me or text me when I needed to fly. I was teaching in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which, like if I show you,
you give me the
like all the way up there. Yeah. That's my Michigan for you. All the way up there. The only flights out are 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's it. So they text me saying, can you get here tomorrow? And it was 5 o'clock. And I was like, well,
there's no flight.
The next flight is at 8 a.m. So I was like, I can get on that flight and see. The audition was at 2. I fly into Newark. I mean, I am like, And the airport's so small.
You're not in New York.
I'm not, yeah, not even in New York. The airport at Michigan was so small. I had to be escorted out of the security to go to the bathroom because the bathroom was back on the other side. That's how small it was. Just so I'm like, this just like I was like, what else you got for me?
No, try to make this so difficult.
So I go there, I get there, find a cab. It's like I'm sweating. I have my full suitcase. I walk in. It's 3:00. So I'm like, there's no way. They knew. Also, I talked to Mia beforehand. I was like, they knew I was flying in and I was going to be late. Like there was no other option. Like my agents talked to them and we were free. So already the girls part was done and they were like, can you learn this off the video? So I learned it off the video and I was like, okay. And I did the entire dance section. Now I have no idea. I've never seen this show before. So I was like, I have no idea where this is really. I haven't got to New York to really see it. They just opened. So we do it. I learned it so quickly off the tape. And then my heart and soul, the dance captain, Jamie Brazen, she comes in and she just like, I call her my Tinkerbell because like, she's just like, she would just, I feel like hold me the entire time and was like, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And like all my self-doubt was gone when she was there. That's and the beginning of the show involves Peter Pan and J.M. Barrie, which is Matthew Morrison. And I didn't know this at the time, but they said, can you just like, let's see what you're going to do. And I was like, okay. So Jamie steps in for J.M. Barrie. And basically the beginning starts with me holding Tinkerbell and I'm playing with Tinkerbell. And it's a little bit of a light. It's like a little magic trick. And I'm throwing her and she's like, and I'm playing with her and I'm just laughing. And that's the whole beginning scene. And she comes in and she's supposed to catch Tinkerbell and I'm supposed to get pissed at her. Like, why you got my girl? Like,
how dare you?
And that's all they told me. They were just like, play around and see what you do. And literally me and Jamie were like, I was like, oh, and I remember just like rolling and she was like, come on, what do you got? And for some odd reason, we clicked there. Like we just, and that was like, Jamie was like, that was the moment that I was like, she's the one.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that it was like, we were just messing around and like, that was fun to play around and be an actress for a second. And at first I came in saying like a little thing, but like, I didn't have a book or anything. I was coming from LA. I just didn't prepare myself for that. It just came out of nowhere.
Crazy situation.
Baby. And so because of that, my agent called me and was like, hey, they're going to go with someone a little bit more experienced, like in the theater world, someone that's a little bit more known. And I was like, no stress. I was like, that was amazing for me to audition. I definitely see myself doing something like that. Like I thought that was in the future, but now that it was like, can you do this? I was like, yeah. It was like a carrot and they dangled it right in front of me and I was like, oh, I'm going for it. So it was something that put in the back of my head. I was like, okay, I would love to do this in the future. I should prepare. So I like started talking about like what my book was going to be like and getting vocal coaches. And I was like thinking about that. And we had a second leg of Lindsey Stirling in the LA like West Coast area. So like it was like just a couple cities. We start that's happening. And then I literally I remember being in my bunk and like those are like coffins. Like you're like, and it's at 7 a.m. and I'm getting a 212 number, like a New York number, an area code. And I'm like, what's happening? We've already started shows. I get a call and they're like, okay, so it's my agent. They're like, okay, so they're going to book you. And like, they're like, can you get here Tuesday? And I was like, it's Friday. Oh yeah. Like it was like, I was like,
we're done that weekend?
Yes. So like they told me Thursday, no. And then they called me the next day and they said, so Mia and Jamie fought for you. And they said, this is a dancer role. We can Band-Aid her up and teach her the singing. She's teachable. And they're like, they both vouched for me saying like, she's teachable. We've watched her on So You Think, like be taught in a week span of figuring it out. And they're like, she can do that. She's like, and I was like, just having that, like, you can do that. I was like, okay, I guess I can do this. So yeah, I thank God. This was like this is the part that I'm like, Lindsey Stirling, you are the epitome of what I think like the industry should be like, because it just happened to be that one of her songs she dedicated to Peter Pan's shadow. Like, so when I finally told her, because it would cut into the tour and my contact with her, I told her and I was like, I don't know what to do. I got offered this. She's like, well, you can't not do it. She's like, you have to go. Yeah. You have to. And so we figured out a way to bring in someone else to do my part. And then I flew back for their LA show on a red eye because it happened to be on a Monday night, which is a day off for
your day off. Let me just do Lindsey Stirling's LA show.
So I like flew back and did that. And my week of learning it was really hard because Jamie wasn't there at the time. And I did have this really amazing Julius, but he's like, I've never taught the Peter Pan part. I don't know. So Jamie came back and we finally did the scene. I have a little like a line scene with Wendy. And there, again, it was just like another puzzle piece. We like clicked in and I was like, I literally walked out of that first rehearsal with her after the scene and I was like, I can do this. Like, I was like, but for a while I was like, I don't know. I've never done something like
over your head.
It was just so much thrown at me. And I was like, it was back in So You Think days where just things are thrown at you and you're like, can I? And then she just hit there and she delivered that scene with me. And it was the first time I was acting with someone, because you're learning a Broadway show by yourself. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how it's done.
Yeah, so you're not learning with the whole cast like the original cast did.
No, it's like a straight green screen almost. You have to imagine all these things. And so when you're not, like, I just didn't have anyone to work my scene with. That was like never working a scene before and then being thrown into it and not having one. It was like, I didn't know how to like, because I have to like put my shadow on with the soap and I have to like do all that. But like, I needed someone to be like, what are you doing? And that's exactly what she did as Wendy. She delivered the lines and I was like, I felt her energy and immediately new energy came and I was able to be like, I am this character. I can be this character. And forever since, that's been my most, like, I always say it's like I would always get nervous for that scene, but it was because I was just pure excited for it. Like, I was just, to like be someone else for like those 30 seconds and the entire Broadway stage is looking at you, just watching you. Like, not only is the cast watching you do this scene within a scene, but the entire audience is watching you as well. Like, the excitement and nerves was like off the charts.
Yeah, what is that Broadway debut like? Because it's a dream in so many people's heads, and then you actually get there. And I think that nerves have got to be, and adrenaline are probably, you know, working against you and also at the same time working with you. And you're just like, holy cow, like, this dream is coming true.
It goes by so quick. Like, the only thing I remember is like, so my Broadway debut, like, because of Peter Pan, like, even Melanie was like, you're so lucky. Like, this, she's like, not that you're not talented. She's like, but you're so lucky to have this show be your Broadway, because it was her Broadway debut as well. And she was like, I didn't know this, but my Broadway debut was me opening the entire scene. So the curtains would go like this and I would be here, just me.
Melanie talked about that too. She said it was like insane.
It's the most, and you're like caught up. And the person I always think about, and I thought about him, and I haven't told him this because I just haven't run into him, but was Marco. He told me this a long time ago during So You Think, because I'd be like, I'm so nervous. Like, he was like, no, you're not nervous. He's like, stop saying you're nervous. You're not nervous. You're excited. He's like, don't confuse the two. And that's what it was. We put this nerve and then we put this negative side of being nervous. He was like, no, you have to spin it and be positive, because he's like, that's the only way you're going to get through it. And he was the person I thought about during that time. I was like, I'm not nervous. I'm excited.
Yes. I'm going to use that the next time I feel it, like, in a moment, because I still get nervous when I'm interviewing someone I haven't interviewed before that's like really big, or a live shot where, you know, like lots and lots of people are watching, and I have to like look at the camera and I'm like, you got your green face on. And I'm going to be like, I'm excited.
Yeah. So I always think about him and I was like, oh yeah, I'm just excited. And I mean, I went by so quick. Like, towards the end, I was like, oh my God, I did that. Like, it was magical. And this show is so magical that it was like, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Like, I don't know, I literally start and end the show and I fly at the end, and it was like, I was like, I was just so proud of myself. I was like, I couldn't believe. And it was like, to have Melanie kind of pass the torch and be like,
It's
you've
such
got
a
this.
nice little, so you think, family memory too, which is
Yeah.
cool. And you're both winners.
It just kind of.
I know. I do love that.
Count.
So I love that so many of the winners are like just killing it out there in New York. You're out there, and Gabby's out there, and Melanie's out there, and Ricky's out there. It's incredible the success you guys have all seen in the New York scene.
I know. And it's just like this younger group that's coming out too. And I feel like when I knew New York, it was like, oh, you have to have so much experience and it's so expensive to live here too. So you're like, you have to have a job, and it is scary, feels scary. And so to have all these people that I was like, and now I see Gabby all the time, and I taught with her a couple times. We like went to Jersey and we taught. It was fun. I got to see Ricky a couple times and Melanie. Like, it's nice to have this family of people. Don't know really what it's like to be on so you think, other than when you're on it. And there's this feeling that you just know what you had to go through with that person. And so to have that family there, like being like, okay, yeah, what's next? How do we get to the next part? It's like, you have such a
communities. You've got the Broadway community, and then you have your So You Think family too, which is nice. And
yeah. So it's nice to have all them here, which I'm happy.
I love that. I really do. And I was in New York very briefly, right around the holiday time. I went to see Eliana Walmsley in Radio City. Gabby quickly, and it's just amazing to hear, because I think there's a lot of pressure after people do So You Think, like, you have to move to LA is the only place to be, and that's not the answer. There's many places you can have a successful dance career. So I hate that the pressure is on a lot of the contestants to just stay in LA.
Yeah, I feel like it's a good place to start, but I feel like the people that have come to New York, it's such a big decision to do it, because it's just something that's not like, everyone said go to LA. So the people that I know have come to New York, said I'm going to do it. Their determination, they're humans as well as artists. Like, I can have a conversation, go get a wine with them, and we can talk about nothing but dance, we can talk nothing but like dance out of the way.
You leave at times. We're in LA, that's all you talk about.
I know, and it's nice to just like we talk about their dogs and their life and their like becoming an adult and finding their voice and figuring out what's the next step of like not just being a dancer but being a creator. And I think
I lived in New York a long time. I went to NYU, so there's something about being able to thrive and survive in New York that is very different than in LA, where the weather's always nice, and you're walking 20 blocks in the snow because you got to get to the rehearsal or whatever else. So there's different challenges that each city has, but there's something about New York that makes you a little hardier.
I know. I found my people in here where I can be by myself if I want to, but then I can also be with people that I love. And I think it's a good combination. I've figured out a good, where I'm like, okay, I don't have to be, I was like, I have to be on social media. I have to do all this stuff. It's like so much stress. And I was like, Gabby was one person who told me, she was like, we're not defined by that. We're defined by who we are in the moment and I was like, oh, I love that. Like, I was like, I love that you know that and you're giving me those things. I was like, because she knows the stress of like constantly having to promote yourself. And she's like, I just now put out what I want to put out because it makes me happy.
Yep, it's authentic.
Mm-hmm. And I was like, and then you're authentic, and then people want to hire you because you're who you are. And I was like, oh, like it all comes together.
Together. Because exactly it. Like, if you're like, oh, I like Amy, but if they don't know who Amy is, like, is like this version of Amy going to show up or this version? But if you're just always Amy, people are like, great. That's what that's the energy I want.
I know. So it's I'm glad that I came out here. I'm glad that show brought me out here because it made me be like, I want to stay.
Good. Oh, I love that. I sat down with your sister earlier this year. That was super fun. She's adorable.
I know. She's my little nugget.
She's so cute. And I just love that, you guys were all able to share her journey on World of Dance. I know you helped choreograph some of her pieces. What was that like, sort of being on the flip side of a reality competition show?
Well, it was cool. It was cool to watch my little, like, I've watched her dance since she was very, very little. Like, I mean, she just came out of the womb dancing because we were dancing. So she's like, I got to do what my sisters do. And so, yeah, she was so spunky. And so she's the baby. So she gets what she wants, you know?
Great.
We have an honorary sister. Her name is Kayla Kalflish. I don't know if you know her. But she works on 24/7 a lot. But she's been choreographing nonstop, and I've known her through my studio and stuff like that. And she's brown hair, and like, so we're all like, oh yeah, she's totally a Yakima. But she's also a Scorpio too, and I'm a Scorpio, so we're very like, we're hard driven and we're like determined and creative, so we get along very well. And so I worked with underneath her. She was the choreographer, and then we kind of figured out different steps that would work. Because World of Dance is a little bit different. You have like, I mean, just even being on TV in general and choreographing, like I would love to do a piece that's 15 minutes, but you don't have that time.
No,
you have to get everything in 60 seconds sometimes, which is not easy. And so I think people are like, oh, it's just tricks. And I was like, well, yeah, but the same thing though, you would probably, if you didn't see all those things, would go, scroll through, because we're so used to scrolling after 15 seconds.
Right.
So it was really cool to work with her, and she's worked with so many people. So to like have her like put me under her wing, and then Lauren to be there, like the most like, just, she's clay. You can have like, you could literally, can you flip here on your head and then twist and then go into the splits? She'd be like, okay, and would figure it out.
Doesn't think about it, just does
no.
it.
And we would like, and Kayla and we would always be like, I would never ask her to do this in real life.
But World of Dance. Well, and World of Dance is like, there are a lot of tricks to the routines and the way you have to sort of craft it. But if you don't have the emotion and you don't have the story, JLo's going to call you out on it.
I know. So that's the point. It was like, how do you do those moves? And I think people are like, oh, it's tricks. But I was like, do you see them flipping in the air and they're still feeling it? Like, I was like, do you not see them? Because I was like, I do. And I was like, and that's not easy. I talk to kids all the time. I judge kids all the time. And I'm like, how do you connect one movement to the other? How do you make a leg kick, like a leg fan or a bottom or anything? How do you make that feel like it's not something that you were trained to do? It just, your body wants to do it because that's what you're feeling. That's the key. And I think Lauren was just a prime example of like, that's what she exudes, is like, she can't help it. And I think there's so many moments that she falls out of things because she's feeling it too hard.
That's right.
And I love that, because I'm like, I'd rather you go down that path than you be perfect and then try to add the feeling on top. It's like, I want your feeling. Yes. And so I think that's why me and Kayla we always were towards her, because like, she's just like the perfect mold, because we never had to ask her to like feel more. We just had to have her be like, just be you, come on, fine. And then all of a sudden all the tricks would come and we wouldn't have to worry about those. So it was like less stressful to not have to be like on at all times, but it also was like stressful because like I had to be there to make sure that like, so Kayla was obviously in charge of she was like, the lighting needs to go here. She was doing that. But like anything else she needed, I was like filling in the gaps. Sure. I was like, if Lauren was not there, I had to make sure that she was okay. And I had to be like, okay, you need to find this. And then I was like, okay, you need to start here. Like I was just filling in the gaps. So it was such a great learning experience to learn that it takes a team.
It does. It takes a village to put things together.
A village. And I think knowing those roles and being like at the end of the day, like I was like, I will always say that Kayla like is such a mentor, because, and I always say that she was the top gun. She figured everything out, but she will always say like, I would never have been able to get through this so seamlessly without you. She's like, totally, I could do it without you. And I was like, I totally know. She's like, but I would have been a wreck. I was like, and that's the part, is everyone can do it by themselves, but it's not fun. It's fun when people all do their parts and you create something so magical. And I think we all walked out of that being like, that was cool. Okay. Experience. That was awesome. And then we were like, okay, on to the next, let's go.
Well, it's so interesting too, because every show, because I've been backstage at all 3 of the major shows at one point or another, and they all have a different flavor and tone and what they're looking for. And you can't say, oh, World of Dance is just the same as So You Think, which is the same as Dance with Stars.
Right.
It's not. Like, they're so different. And if you walked backstage on any given day that any of those shows are shooting, you're going to be like, wow, this feels completely different than the next show. It's amazing.
Completely, yeah, no. You nailed that.
It's true. I know, I was trying to think, like, when I last saw you, I feel like you were back with Mia maybe 2 years ago, or season 2.
Oh, yes. We did that piece. We did the duet and the group piece, the chair piece, yeah.
I was like, which is the one that had all the sleeves?
Oh, yeah. Wait, what one was that? Oh, yes. I think that was the chair one. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that was like season 15. I was like,
yeah.
I just remember white sleeves and everyone like, woo.
Ooh, it was so cool. It was so fun to create that, and like the feeling. Mia always creates a good feeling, and I'm here for a feeling. I think we can always do so many steps and dance, and I think that's like, that's why I always say, I was like, we always put so much like stress on ourselves. Like, we have to create good steps, and I was like, the whole reason I dance is because I feel things. I want to tell a story, and I think that's the most important part. And so she always starts with a feeling, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm here for the feeling.
Feels like when I interview her, Mia feels even the interview, and it's a wild ride. I don't know if people realize, like, even just interviewing her, it's like it's a high and a low, and then she takes you left, and then she'll be like,
completely. Yeah.
I leave like sweating out of an interview with her, but I love it because it's unexpected, and I know she's going to give me something that what Mia's feeling in that moment, in that day.
Mm-hmm. She's got some stories to tell, and I think she's really captured them, and that's why she is where she is, because feeling is what keeps, it's like we all relate to that, because like some people might not be able to do those moves, but they're like, but I know that feeling. And I think that's why people love dance, is like, because that's what we have, like, that's why people love music and art and that kind of stuff, because I may not be able to paint something, or I may not be able to sing a certain thing, or I may not be able to do something, but I can feel what they're feeling, and that's why I relate to it. I think that's what connects us. So when someone's like, when they start from the feeling and then they add the moves onto it, I see that right away. And there's so many choreographers that are like that I've worked with, that like I work well with, because I'm like, I respect you. Yeah. I respect you as a creator.
Yeah, because it's that underlayer versus that like superficial like emotion type of thing.
Yeah.
I know we're in this really weird time of like limbo and stuff.
Completely.
Are you looking forward to doing any projects? Do you have some things that are kind of on hold and you're just waiting till we're all like, I feel like are we all released? Like, can we go out to recess? Like, that's what it feels like.
I know. I think it's just happened like right at like, February. And so like, we're kind of in that audition season. So a bunch of things I was auditioning for, and now it's kind of like, oh, and a bunch of things like, it's really disappointing. A couple of things are changing. Like, people were casted, and now they're completely changing it, and so none of those people are casted anymore, and they're going a different direction because of this. And I was like, and I think there's just so many jobs that we don't even know. I think this is the hard part. I just got my new apartment, and it goes into it because I had to explain what I do to my landlords, and it's such a weird thing. People were like, so I was like, I just did Wicked, so I was on tour for the longest time, and so I showed them all my stuff, and they're like, okay, explain this Munchkin land. And I was like, okay, so, and like, wow. It's just funny, like, dancers on paper are so interesting, and so I had to explain what I do for that, and they were like, okay, so like, what's gonna happen with Munchkin land later? And I was like, well, sometimes you don't even know until the week before. Auditions, you don't even know you're going to have a job because the project hasn't even been announced yet. So that's the hard part, is we don't even know. Like, I knew a couple TV shows that were being casted soon, and I was like, okay. So like, I was like, I know this show's coming up, so I know there's going to be an audition. Like, I've already worked for them. So I was like, I think I definitely have a good shot. But like, now we just don't know, because everything's kind of in this like,
yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of great shows filming in New York. I know you guys have Maisel out there. You've worked with Marguerite Derricks, and
yeah, she's awesome. It was like
sitting by through a scene or two.
Yeah.
I love the New York shows because I'm like, oh, I recognize a lot of the dancers, so that's always fun. But again, everything. Younger is a show that's filmed out in New York. There's a lot of shows like they either had started and had to stop, or they'll pick up at some point. But with 2021, maybe they film and we won't see some of these shows until 2022 on the air as viewers.
I know. So it's kind of up in the air just because I had a bunch of teaching jobs, obviously, because those are things you can book out farther. But I was going to be working for Joffrey this summer. I always do that. I always kind of create a piece for them. So I was looking forward to that because I had like an amazing idea and I wanted to try it out. And now we're kind of like, I don't know if it's happening. So things are just we're just all figuring it out. So I was like, I have no idea at this point.
Are you Zoom teaching at all or Instagram Live?
Yes.
Good.
Such a weird thing. I don't know how to describe it. It's like, it's so great. It's like such a love-hate relationship, I think, because it's hard because we're asking these kids to be adults and be in charge of their training. And that is not easy.
And those questions on technique, sometimes it takes like a little, like your arm needs to be here, not here. And you just need that little like poke and you go, oh, I feel it.
Yes. So it's definitely not easy. I'm thinking we're all as teachers now learning new tricks to kind of figure out what clicks. And I think that's the point about being a teacher. When you see like a teacher that just kind of does their moves and then you see a teacher that actually is a teacher, I think we're learning how to, like, when I'm in a room, I assess it right away. I'm like, what do they need? What do they need? I'm trying to figure out, I can say something in 7 different ways, and one way it's going to click with that student, and one way it's going to click with that. And that's trying to find that is what makes a whole room. So now figuring out how to do that in a virtual way is very interesting.
Benji was talking about that too. He's like, the teachers who have great verbal communication and can communicate an idea or a thought are going to succeed in all that sort of virtual teaching right now.
It's not easy. And I think I was watching a couple people and I was like, oh, like taking it. I was like, that's a good idea. Put that.
Yeah. Should be watching other people's
pocket. Like, yeah, there's little things that you learn, like just to even keep like the younger kids alive too. It's hard because it's like their attention span. It's hard. They're used to having their friends.
With Benji and Lacey yesterday, because literally they're like, the minis are the hardest group to keep the attention span. They're having the same issue. Doesn't matter what style of dance it is.
Mm-hmm. You have to because we're comedians when we're teaching little ones. That's the whole point. Like, we're not just dancing. We have to like keep them entertained. And so all my jokes are different because I'm like trying to figure out so like I'll be like, okay, if you're ready to go on, you give yourself bunny ears. If you are not ready, stick your tongue out. And like, I just do, and then they start to laugh and they like, but it's instead of being like silent and good. Yeah. You just see kids that are like, and then you see dogs running through and you're like, yeah. I love when there's just the parent laying down like in the couch in the back and you're just like, yeah, me too, bro. Yeah.
We're all feeling the pandemic in different ways and they are all real and it's okay.
I know it's not easy. I've been trying to get outside and I've been trying to dance just even that to feel something, but it's definitely not easy for sure. And so I feel for them. I think I'm really sad for them to not have that connection, but I'm proud of them because they're definitely learning to adapt right away. And I think that's the biggest thing that artists need to learn. Yeah. And they're doing this very soon and in such a comforted environment where like all their friends are doing it as well, like their teachers, is adapting. It's figuring out how to create your schedule. And that is like, I think it's a good lesson for them. So I'm trying to stay positive as much as I can, but I definitely feel for them. It's not easy dancing in a tiny little space. All I want to do is drag and like travel like a crazy person and like live my best Mandy Moore jazz life. Like,
I was leaping through my morning walk the other day. Like we have one street that's kind of a dead end and it's really quiet. And I was like, whoop, whoop, whoop.
Anything to get you going, right? I know.
And yeah, and a couple people walked by and they were a little bit like, because I was by myself and I was like, leave. But I was like, I just need it, guys.
There's yesterday, it was so nice. Someone was playing salsa music outside and I went with a walk with my friend 6 feet apart. And then we were walking back and then we just literally, not even kidding, I haven't like salsa'd in so long, I didn't realize it. And I was like, we were going down the street, people were cheering us on, like it was a full thing. So it was really nice. I think people forget that, yes, you have a mask on, but like that doesn't mean that you lose human contact. Right. Like, you can still say hi to people. And you can still like, and I think people are forgetting that. So I think that's the hard part. So I always try to like greet people and I'm like, hello. And I'm very like so much bigger and I'm like, hi.
Good morning.
Yeah. Try to at least. Yeah. So I think to answer your question is just trying to stay afloat, and I've been creating a lot. I think that's my biggest thing, is trying to find, and I think as we've I was talking to Gabby about this recently, is trying to find, like, I think as we get past the So You Think, we start doing jobs, we start making money for what we do. We're like, okay, you get to this like slump where you're just like, you're always working, and then you're like, where's the love? And I think this is the first time I've kind of been like, okay, I'm in my ballet classes, and I'm like, me and Tyler Peck are just figuring it out. I'm doing my little like doing my little bamas in the side, doing my couches, but I'm finding this training again that I think is this fun for me, and I think I needed that. So I think that's what my biggest focus has been on, is trying to figure out. I think even Gabby did this like live class that was like ballet bar, but like with contemporary aspects to it. And I found that so fascinating, because like then I got to find muscles that I'm just so not used to. So I'm trying to really focus on that, and I think it's hard when you're by yourself. So in that slump of like continuing my training and things that I've kind of forgotten about because I've tried to make money and be an adult. And so during So You Think, that's all you think about is your training. You're training the entire time.
Money. I need to make money. I got rent.
I gotta pay my bills in order to do what I do. And then you kind of forget about it. So I think this moment to like sit back and be like me doing my feet training, like I've like, it's been interesting. So I think that's kind of what my focus has been on, because like projects have been put on the side.
Yeah, I mean, we're all there for sure, but I am excited to see what is next for you, and I hope that I see you in LA at some point. I know you're gonna be out to visit Lauren and your sister.
I know. I'm thinking there definitely will be a thing where I can definitely, because I'm gonna be able to, now I was like, yes, now I have a place to stay in LA. So I was like, I'm coming out, and then I was like,
Yakima
yes,
girls are all there. It's great.
And now I could be super bi-coastal, so I think that's going to be a thing. But I hope that, you know, once this kind of blends through, maybe so yeah.
All right, well, do me a favor, stay safe. Stay healthy out there in New York. I think
you too.
Actually, you guys are like really flattening the curve. We're still coming down, but
I hope so. I know. I'm like everything.
I know. It was a scary time, but I'm so glad I was able to connect with you today.
I know. I can't wait for us to connect an actual like person to person and give you like a big squeeze.
I'm going to give you virtual hugs.
For sure.
So much, Amy.
Bye. Thank you.